Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And a Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 581. Mr. Somich.
Little weather delay, huzzah!
This is a couple things happening that are different. We're previewing a race. It's a card that's on Sunday because Oaklawn moved everything ahead. Thank you to Oaklawn for a week out going, this isn't going to work. We need to adjust accordingly and making the right decision so we all have time to prepare. But also, we're recording and doing this on Friday. Didn't work out for either of us to do it yesterday, so I'm glad it worked out today. And I guess you're not traveling to Vegas this weekend.
No, back still home this weekend, which is kind of nice. Now the football season's over, not on a plane as much, which not gonna lie, I do enjoy. So that's get to play some tournaments this weekend and watch a little bit more horse racing than normal, which is nice as well. I like that Oaklawn moved this to Sunday. Okay, I'm happy that they did that to try and avoid anything. They're not running on tomorrow, right? Like I know that they're saying they're
Saturday, Sunday, Monday instead of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They just moved all 3 days ahead.
Right, but are they really running tomorrow, or are they just faking like they're going to run tomorrow?
As of right now,
if they really run tomorrow, kind of a dick move. Just saying, because like all these people who bought tickets for Saturday and bought lodging for Friday night and flew in, and then you're like, we can't run Saturday because of the weather, so we're going to run Sunday. But no, we're also going to run Saturday. I don't know. That doesn't totally. So
you would have just had them put Friday's card on Monday instead of pushing everything. Okay.
Bingo. Because you have people who planned like trips around this, right?
That's true. And
now they're just literally out in the cold on a day that they don't know if there's even going to be racing, that they're going to be there.
I do know that Andy Banton is there for FanDuel today, even though they're not racing. And they were like, "We've got her." The producers were talking. They're like, "We don't know what to do with her because she obviously doesn't have any races to report on." So the last I knew, they were just going to send her to the barns and have her go interview connections and check in on horses. So, well.
That's what she's very good at that. When she's around the horses, excellent, because they always seem to mess with her, but in a friendly way, and it makes for good clips.
Except for, did we talk about this? The White Barrio Super Bowl pick clip. This is why you never do this shit live. She went to White Barrio's stall. We've been building it up for like 2 hours. Like Andy Banton's going to go back there. He's going to make a pick, and they put 2 food buckets out on his stall, and they had the Chiefs logo and the Eagles logo. And get it all set up. She sets the whole thing up. The groom's in there. She goes, okay, and here we go. And the groom lets him go. And they start shaking the food buckets at him. He gives her some side eye and turns his butt around. And he never, for 40 seconds, moved. He just was like, nope, I want nothing to do with it. And she was trying her best to keep it moving. I was dying laughing in the studio with my co-host because we had said, we're doing this live. That's not a good idea. And then it played out exactly why it should not have been done live.
Well, at least the horse didn't drop a deuce when he turned around, because that would have just put
the ice on the
proverbial cake.
He thinks the Super Bowl is shitty this year, as did a lot of people betting wise. I saw Vegas's numbers were down $25-30 million compared to last year. A lot of Chiefs fatigue happening there.
Well, if Slim was there, he might have picked it up and put it on eBay. You never know with him. The whole like it's down thing, really, I don't look. The Super Bowl was in Vegas last year. It's going to be down the year after the Super Bowl is in Vegas, because you had all those fans that came, and everyone who was going to the game was betting in Vegas at a casino. A lot of that money just ended up in your local, whatever your state is, sportsbook versus being in Vegas for that game, because the game still did very, very well from a handle perspective, and the year was up to a record number as well.
Well, you still can't bet on sports in California, but you can bet on horse racing. And I just saw that Michigan is going to allow Twin Spires to come back. That was pretty big news there and could have huge ramifications for the rest of the country. But we won't talk about that. We're going to talk about Oaklawn's late pick 5 Sunday. That's right, Sunday at Oaklawn Park. Four stakes races. And as Rob said, I got to the end of this card and I went, you mother effers, an Archie bred maiden special way to end it.
Taking the page out of the Naira book, baby. At least, I guess it couldn't be a turf sprint. But if it was a turf sprint, it would be dead out of the Naira book.
Let's get into it. Late pick 5, Oaklawn Park, Sunday, February 23rd. Riders up. it's kicking things off. It's the inaugural running of the Trivista Stakes. This is race 8 on the card. 11 older fillies and mares going to be routing a mile and a 16th. The race is restricted to non-winners of a stakes race other than a state-bred one. So with this first running of the Trivista, who are you going to put on top?
Who's the favorite in this one?
It's the 5, Peignoir.
Ah, yes. I put Peignoir on top. You like how I made you say the name first? I put Peignoir on top here. If you get Pratt aboard, which is obviously a positive thing here, but from a speed perspective, this horse just seems to get a good trip. You've got some speed to the outside, but not any that I believe is a huge detriment to the effort here. It feels like Peignoir can be able to get the lead or sit right behind Majestic's Ops. You got one other speed to the outside, which means Peignoir will be able to pocket up. I trust Pratt to be able to do a good job here. And it feels like because you are inside speed, everyone else to the inside is going to drop back and close. It should set up pretty well for the favorite here. So I did have the 5 Peignoir on top.
So did I. A good second is the favorite in the Wayward last stakes at Tampa Bay Downs. Pratt was aboard once before, went gate to wire at Keeneland, going a mile in the 8th. We always talk about how that Keeneland form, you need to give it a plus because it's such a hard meet to win at, whether it's fall or spring. I also like the Peignoir isn't a need the lead type, and should be, you would think would be on the lead there, but let's say somebody unexpected just absolutely guns it or goes right to the front. Well, okay, so we'll sit right behind you with this really nice draw from post 5. So yeah, all signs good for Peignoir. I went 2 deep, you went 3 deep. The other horse I used is the 8 Indy Label, who's 8-1 in here. She's run 3 straight solid races, broke her maiden by over 9 at Churchill Downs. That was Maiden 50 company. Okay, so much less than what she's facing here. But out of that, she shipped here to Oaklawn and went straight up to non-winners of 2 lifetime allowance company. It wasn't starter allowance. It wasn't a high claiming tag. And her first star versus winners, she popped another win. And then the Pippin Stakes, the $150,000 purse, kind of the local prep, she almost won that race. The winner was a favorite who was already exiting another Oaklawn Park Stakes win, went gate to wire from the rail. If she can get a forwardly placed trip like in the Pippin, I think that if the 5, for whatever reason, falters, to me, the 8's going to be right there with a chance. You just need that forwardly placed trip because if you get too far behind in this race, I think you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it feels like if Indy Label able to kind of sit right behind those 3 speed horses, sit in that 4th or 5th spot and save some ground on the 2 turns, has a shot, would need to run a career best race. But the race 2 back is good enough to at least put you in it. And you'd hope as a 4-year-old, she's able to kind of progress forward a little bit and be able to get it done. I had this horse in 5th. I did not go 5 deep, but it was one that I considered here. Second choice for me, let's go to the rail. Under the Palms, McPeak and Brian Hernandez Jr., a combination which, when they team up, pretty darn good. They are 28% at Oaklawn with a $6.39 ROI flat bet win. That's good, Magic. That's very good. Under the Palms, second off the layoff here, second out as a 4-year-old. So I'd expect improvement off the last race. And I thought the last race was a very good one. Drew the rail, so similar to this here. And the trip wasn't wonderful. Ended up having to swing out 4 wide around the far turn and was able to grind it out and end up missing the win by a nose. Again, this was another one that would need to run a career best, but I like the fact that we came back off the layoff and did improve off the 3-year-old numbers and now has that chance to take a second step up. I mentioned there is other speed in here besides Peignoir, including Majestic's Ops, and I think it's Neon Beach, who's the other one. So if you got enough pace forward and Under the Palms able to save ground on both turns, I think the 1 has a legitimate shot to try and get it done. So the 1 Under the Palms, second pick for me. And then, I mean, if you're watching the show, we're going for Amber Cascade as well. Our girl, Cherie DeVoe, who was phenomenal last week, won 3 races on that Fairgrounds card, gets her boy, Jose Ortiz, up. And when these 2 team up, they have been very, very good. Last 2 times Jose Ortiz rode this 10 horse were both wins. That was include the last one off the layoff at Fairgrounds. Now you're getting a step forward here. Was favored in that race. Don't love the draw. A little concerned we might get hung wide on the first turn. But if you go back to that race 2 back at Churchill, which was going a mile and an 1/8, ended up just a neck behind Peignoir. So I couldn't leave this one off if I was going to use Peignoir, especially since Amber Cascade beat her 3 back. So 1, 5, 10 for me here, Magic.
I had the 1/3. I went 2 deep. I have the 1/3. Beat Corningstone, who beat the 8 horse last time out. And then also I have the 10 4th. I left the 10 off because of the post. Same reason I'm passing on the 11. That if the 11 was drawn post 2, like her last 2 starts here at Oaklawn Park, which she won, maybe I'm a little more interested in her. But I don't like the outside post for the 11. The 10, combination of the post and the price, I kept her off. If she wins, I won't be shocked. I'll just be mad at myself for leaving off Cherie DeVoe and Jose Ortiz.
Yeah, the 11 was the post and the price combo, and I just couldn't get past. Cherie DeVoe's phenomenal, and when Ortiz is on, it's just been almost like free money. It's ridiculous how often they've been winning, especially on these bigger days. So it was very, very hard for me to leave her off. I did consider the 3 as well. Just to want to bring this one up, 12-1, same kind of angle as the 1 horse who's second off the layoff as a 4-year-old. Went out, won the first off the layoff. Davis takes the mount. He's been phenomenal over the last year. So we'll see if he's able to keep it up. But this is a horse that would need to take a much bigger step forward to be competitive. But ran in some pretty good races and was able to win an N1X over at Saratoga over the summer. So it's had pretty good competition, but definitely taking a step up into stakes company here.
It's interesting. There's a lot of horses in this card, like the 3. I think there's other horses in the 10. They're leaving fairgrounds where there are stakes races, but you can get a $145,000 purse at Oaklawn Park, and it's restricted to horses that have not won a stakes race that wasn't for state bred. So it's interesting, all the horses coming in. Real quick, just your thoughts on horses coming into Oaklawn Park that have been training not at Oaklawn because of all the weather. A lot of the horses at Oaklawn have missed several weeks of actual time training.
Not ideal. You would think that some of these fairgrounds horses just have a fitness advantage because of the missed workouts, but a lot of the Oaklawn horses, and Oaklawn's one of those tracks, as is fairgrounds, really, where it seems like horses either love it or they hate it. You don't have these kind of horses that are in the middle with it. So for me, I don't mind it as much because the Oaklawn horses who are in these stakes races have, for the most part, won at Oaklawn, which to me is a pretty big plus here.
Second leg of the late pick 5 at Oaklawn Park on Sunday, February 23rd. Race 9 is the Grade 3 Honeybee Stakes. 13 3-year-old fillies. God bless Oaklawn's field sizes. 13 of them going a mile and a 16th, gunning for 50 Kentucky Oaks points. And this race revolves all around whether you use or pass on the heavy 7-5 morning line favorite Muhimu, who's going off at 3-5. 4-5 at best. What'd you do?
Yeah, a sub even money. I think sub even money is fair to say on Mahima, and that's pretty crazy considering it is a 13 horse field. So you got a ton of fillies headed to the gate here. A lot of competition, and I think there are some interesting prices. I decided not to use Mahima. There's enough speed in here. There's enough speed in here that I think that she has a little more issues than she did in the Damsel, where she was able to go gate to wire, broke from the 1 post that day, obviously breaks from the 1 again. That is a big benefit for her because she is going to try and take them all the way around here. But the fact that Look Forward's in here and it showed California speed and was sprinting and now coming in and going to go 2 turns for the first time, you would expect that Look Forward is going to be forwardly placed and puts some pressure on Mahima at least. And I just felt like there was a little too lack of value here in using Mahima. If I was going to use Mahima, my ticket would be a lot shorter. I'd be singling her, and I'd be probably going too deep, maybe singling in a couple other races and try and playing a press ticket versus spreading out. So I'm going to try and avoid Mahima. Top pick for me, the 6-horse Take Charge Milady. I mean, this is just a train wreck waiting to happen. McPeak and Leparoux, the connections.
But look at their Oaklawn stats. I hear you, but they've been unbelievable at Oaklawn together.
20% at Oaklawn over the last 2 years. Not quite the same ROI as Brian Hernandez Jr., just $1.66 coming back, but still solid. And Take Charge Milady's been awesome. There's really no other way to put it. Her last 2 races, both of them here at Oaklawn, she wins $110,000 maiden special weight with ease, steps up, takes on the Martha Washington, wins that race going away by 5 lengths. And I love the fact that she has, I'll call it tactical speed, because like if you look at the time form early speed, it doesn't look like she's that fast. But then when you watch the races, she gets herself involved. And it feels like she is the horse that is going to trip out in this spot, be able to sit right behind the speed and get first run around the far turn. I don't mind the 9-2 price, to be honest with you. And I feel like Mahima is really going to allow me to get close to that. So the 6 on top here, Take Charge Milady, only went 2 deep. Did you use the 6?
I did. She's my second play in here. And she's just been steadily progressing. And if they were in the Kentucky Oaks this weekend, am I playing her? No. But at the rate she's progressing, if she peaks, if she can keep this going, she's going to peak for the first Friday of May. Then suddenly we're looking at, hey, McPeak winning back-to-back Kentucky Oaks races. And she's a good one. She did, it does stink that it was only a 5-horse field in Martha Washington, because I did want to see what she could do against some of the other horses that were originally entered in there. But still, so the right draw, the right running style. I think she's, this could be a very fast opening pace depending on what happens with Muhima on the rail. And let's go through the pace, the other pace horses. The 7, I think the smart idea is to scratch her. I wouldn't run her here if I was the Connections, but it's
I agree.
not the Connections. The 8 is Dwayne with the bug boy who won't get the bug allowance, but still always sends his horses. The 9 will be part of that early pace. The 11 might be in it. So I think there's enough pace in here that Take Charge Milady should get a nice little pocket trip, but she can be up there on the front too if she wants. So yeah, second choice for me. I, like you, passed on Muhima in here. I put the number 9, Look Forward, on top. And this is a pretty quick bolt Doro filly. She's been working really steadily. She brings in that California speed that you talked about. Gutierrez is coming out to ride her. I thought that was noteworthy. Good on Michael McCarthy, who first off took over training duties when her last trainer, Ben Cecil, passed away. But then, staying with Gutierrez, even shipping out to Oaklawn, I think that's really great to see. She can stalk. She showed that in the Starlet, and Tenma is the top filly in California right now. You're getting away from Tenma, Bob Baffert horse, which is smart. But there's a really low rumble, not low, but there's a good steady low rumble on the backstretch at Santa Anita about this filly that some people think she could really be like coming back out with a huge effort, if not today or Sunday rather, but coming up soon. So there's a lot of rumbling about her talent level and what she can do, and the fact that McCarthy ships her out when he also he did send Bullard out. Bullard got there and caught a cold, so he's going to scratch from the Rebel. But yeah, I put the 9 on top here, 6-1, a nice price too.
Yeah, I don't blame Bullard. It's cold out there, so it happens. I look, the 9 is bred. She should be able to. She should love 2 turns, but her 1-turn efforts have been better. And so I have a little concern about the distance here, especially since, I know Tenma, very good filly. They really beat the crap out of the rest of that field. Yeah. But it's just one of those where it feels like she's going to need the lead to go 2 turns to me. And I'm just not sure that I want to take a horse that is going to be pressed out there. Now, with you using the 6 and the 9, totally get it, right? Because you got the horse that's going to stalk. Yeah, dinner for 2. You got the horse that's going to stalk, and then you also have the 9 horse who's one of those pace setters and could possibly get the lead. So I don't mind the use there. I'm going to go a little bit further up the odds board here. Give me the 5. Quick Kick here for Dylan Davis and Tom Amos. I kind of like the fact that this one is coming back in this spot. It's a pretty aggressive placement for a horse that has been off the layoff here, and Dylan Davis taking the ride, riding her again, I should say. He's ridden her all 4 starts. A good thing. This was one of those horses I thought was pretty impressive at Saratoga last year. Debuted at 7, ended up running 3rd. Lacara ran away with that race. She ran 1 next out. You go back and you see that the second win at 7 furlongs in the second race, she looked awesome there, being able to sit off the pace and swoop and win. Goes to the Grade 1 Alcibiades, loses to Immersive. Immersive comes back, wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly, where she runs 3rd. If she comes back and improves off what we've seen, we know she can get 2 turns. We know she can compete with the best in the division, and you're getting a 12-1 price. Amos 17% off of this type of layoff. Amos and Dylan 22% together, although just 9 starts. I'm going to kind of use the back class play here with Quick Kick and just say, look, if she improves off what she was, she's as live as anybody in this race. You're getting 12-1.
Third horse on for me. I went 4 deep in here, beating Muhima, so I didn't feel bad. The 7-5 should be odds on for sure. Didn't feel bad going deep in here, even with Take Charge Milady on there. And Mark Heft agrees as well. Muhima, she could wire it, but if it all falls apart, my goodness, it sets up so well for Quick Kick. And in that race that she won at Saratoga, she wins at Saratoga in her second start after finishing 3rd to Lacara, who was a grade 3 winner out of that. But she beat Scottish Lassie, and Scottish Lassie, aside from a horrible trip in the Juvenile Fillies, that's a horse that had a lot of talent and a lot of hype as well. So going to use her. The last one I used, I went total Mike Somich here, I think.
Ooh.
Maybe. I got a 20-1 shot I'm using.
Okay.
The number 3, Jinkin. So the arguments we made for Take Charge Milady, steadily progressing. Back-to-back wins routing at Oaklawn Park, including a stakes race. It's the exact same thing with the 3 Jinkin. The buyer, 77 last out versus 84 for Take Charge Milady. Okay, slightly stepped down, but improving the buyers with each of these starts. That's a good sign. But to me, this is a filly that if she was trained by a higher profile trainer, Lindsay Schultz is good. She's 14%, but she's no household name like a Cox, a McPeak, whoever, Pletcher, Chad Brown. And you've got Francisco Arrieta aboard. If you've got Flavien Prat, who, by the way, does not have a mount in this race, I still don't understand that one. But if you had a higher profile jockey, she's not 20 to 1. You had a higher profile trainer, she's not 20 to 1. I think that she's going to be ignored on here on the board. And the breeding says the longer the better. She hasn't gone a mile on the 16th, but Mineshaft, the Dam Sire's Quite American, absolutely should be able to handle 2 turns. So in the longer distance here. At 20 to 1, I thought she was worth the use because she's very similar to Take Charge Milady, just the connections are different.
Yeah, I mean, can't knock you on any of that. A little bit behind from a numbers perspective, so she'd have to improve a little bit more, but everything else I think fits very well. Did you consider the 11 at all, Anonima? That was one that I kind of went back and forth on. And using Take Charge Milady, who Anonima beat 3 back, and is also the other McPeak, but the McPeak with Hernandez. That one is one where that could be the one regret I have of not using in this race, especially at the 15 to 1 price. But I didn't love the post considering what I expected from a pace perspective, and she is going to be a little bit closer to the pace and wants to be forwardly placed versus where I think Take Charge Milady is going to get that rating trip.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I also thought it was a little funky. Maybe McPeak was trying to get cute and got away with it because she's a daughter of Sharp Azteca. Not the breedings doesn't blow you away, but she had the waiver for that $100,000 maiden claiming race in December that she won, but she came back at Fairgrounds and was up for $100,000. So again, I don't think anybody was going to dip in and take her. They probably would have laughed and said, yeah, go ahead and have her for $100,000. But it's not screaming faith in my filly as a Kentucky Oaks chance if I'm willing to let somebody take her for $100,000 in January.
Just scary because it's where Hernandez is.
Yes.
Right? Because like we said, 28%, $6.39 ROI when the two team up, and you're getting a bigger price with the jockey that is a little more dangerous than generally Leparoux is in this spot. Just saying.
I just really appreciate that Julian Leparoux is having like the best season he's had since 2018, 2017.
Yeah, he's 19% right now at Oaklawn. Now he's 9% for the year, but 19% at Oaklawn. That's very good.
I want to know his stats when he has any trainer other than McPeak, because that's got to be carried. But hey, listen, there's been jockeys who've made whole careers out of being carried by a single barn. You know, not going to name any names or anything, but you know, one jockey you get with the right barn. Maybe you're French. You both have the same last letter in your last name.
Oh, you were going to go Giroux? I was going to go Rosario, but that's okay.
Everybody's giving up on Rosario. Brad Cox is, I'm telling, actually, it's Aaron's thing. The shit that he must have on Cox has got to be brutal. All right, race 10 is the grade 3 Razorback handicap. This is the third leg of the pick 5. Another huge field, 14 older males routing a mile and a 16th, $500,000 purse. And my question to you is not where did you go on top, but have you finally quit on Krupe, or do you need another sound beating like what he took in the Pegasus?
I did quit Krupe.
All right.
However, Shoddy will be happy to know I considered Red Route 1 in this spot. Down there in the 12 post at 15 to 1. Red Route 1 almost made the ticket, but ended up
great for the super,
here.
Man, I tell you.
Yeah, right. I ended up going too deep in Red Route 1, not in the top 2 for me here. I didn't get creative in this spot. I went with banishing the 2 horse on top. Pratt with Jacobson. The last couple of races have been great. People will knock it because they've been out of sprints. But guess what? Banishing has won twice at this distance and actually has a very good Tomlinson. 2 for 2 over the course. Both of those in the last 2 going 6 furlongs. This horse has looked awesome. I don't see any real pace threat. It feels like First Mission probably the most likely to cause some problems early. If you look at the 4 who's been forwardly placed as well, that the early splits have been a little bit slower. It feels like this is just one of those situations where banishing with Pratt has the ability to go and get to the first turn first and then cause a lot of problem for everybody else. So the 2 banishing on top for me here. What about you, Magic?
Yeah, same. He gets first time Pratt. That's going to help his chances. The 2 buyers he's got, those are the 2 highest buyers anybody's posted at Oaklawn Park. And yeah, they were sprinting, but it's a mile and a 16th. If this is a mile and an 1/8, I'm going to be a little bit more hesitant about playing this horse, but I also liked it. This is something that Gabe Gilson brought up quite a while ago. We've got a lot of horses coming off of, or they're going to be off Lasix for these stakes races. So something to consider with these he proved last out in the stakes race he doesn't need Lasix to go out there and just absolutely dominate. So agree with you on that one. I used 2 other horses. I went with the 8 Baddest Good Boy, who's 9-2. The second choice. I don't think he's second choice. I think First Mission gets bet down from 5-1. But Baddest Good Boy, he's undefeated in 2 starts. His debut race was 6 furlongs. He stalked and pounced. That was a good sign. And then he stretched out to routing, brought that sprint speed, and went gate to wire pretty much on the front end there. The 3rd place finisher from that race beat Local Allowance Company in his next start, Gewürztraminer. I won't make you say that name. And the only knock I have on him, I just brought it up. He's running without Lasix for the first time, and not necessarily saying he's a bleeder, but just some horses they regress a little bit when they don't have that Lasix. But other than that, I thought there were all good signs here for the 8. And Rod was asking, where's Santana? He's on the 8, baby. He's on the 8.
Yeah, this is one of those where I think you're either in love with this horse or you're just like, nope, you got to beat me. And I took the nope, you got to beat me stance. You're going from non-winners of 1 up into against a bunch of stakes company. Yeah, sometimes you see horses kind of jump up and be able to get the job done, but is the second choice in a big field where the trip is going to be a little more dangerous than what we've seen last time. This horse faced 6 horses in debut, 7 horses last time. I thought got a really good trip last time too, was the inside speed, was able to kind of just sit on the rail and then open up and kind of take care of business. So I'm willing to let Baddest Good Boy beat me here. I did use First Mission. It's the reason I ended up 2 deep here is that I'm using Banishing and First Mission. Skinner would have been the 3rd one on for me, and I was not using those 3 horses who are going to be, I think, 1, 2, 3 in the betting. I think Baddest Good Boy kind of sits in that Skinner price range when it's all said and done. First Mission's best is good enough to win this. If we see it, he's dangerous. If we don't, I think Banishing's able to hold him off. So for me, it was just pretty easy to go 2-3.
I left off First Mission, which is, I think, maybe the first time I've ever done that. But you brought up a great point with this horse. I forget what race was it. Was it maybe the Whitney? Something. There was a race we were covering, and you're like, look, yeah, he's won when he's great, but like, look who he's beating. He beat Tio Saint-Denis, who was the Japanese horse that on Derby Day that was like 28-1 or 30. Like nobody saw that horse coming, and he got up for second there. He beat War Campaign. He's beat Command Performance. He beat Arabian Lion, but he barely beat Arabian Lion in the Lexington Stakes. So that's because that horse is a sprinter. Like when he faces really good, like actually good horses, he's nowhere near it. Now the counter is if Banishing ain't a really good horse, Skinner. There are really not that many great. With deference to Red Route 1, he's a great closer, but he's earned $1.8 million. I'm not going to say he's a bad horse, but there are no grade 1 winners that we can see in this field. So maybe he's caught the right field, and I think 5-1's a pipe dream, but I don't think he's favored either.
Yeah, well, I mean, you knock out all the grade 1s, okay? Just cross the line through the grade 1s. That's the Whitney, the Stephen Foster, the Pegasus Invitational. His races prior to that, first by 4, first by 5, second by a nose, first by a neck, first by a half length, first by 6.5. Pretty good when he's not in grade 1 competition. He just doesn't step up well, right? But we're not in grade 1 competition, and I would argue this is a light grade 2, right? Like so, it's a grade 3, yeah. So it's proper grade 3 type stakes, yeah. Right? And you have your favorite is a horse stretching out who is doing something new. Now I think he could do it, but that doesn't mean that this is a world beater type of horse. And the horses we're talking about are a 3rd-time starter who is stepping up into stakes company for a first time, a Red Route 1 who loves to run 3rd, and horses like Skinner who we'll see what we get from Skinner. I thought he was pretty good last time out of Fairgrounds, but to me, it's a pretty lackluster field, and it feels like if First Mission brings the A game, maybe even like the A- game, he probably gets the job done here.
We'll have to wait and see what Cox says. If I hear that Cox says that, yeah, this horse is training better than he's doing it better than he's ever done, I think this is my horse of the year this year, then it's an absolute chuck because he said that last year, and that horse. I did use Skinner. We talked about Skinner, so I did use him in here. Won the grade 3 native diver, wasn't the best field in the world, but again, what we just talked about, look at this field. It was a good 3rd in the grade 3 Louisiana. It was in the slop. This horse, even though he's by Curlin, I think his better efforts have been on fast surfaces, like when he's out in California. Is Cherie DeVoe, Jose Ortiz. And then the horse that was runner-up in the Louisiana, Como Rubino. My God, I thought I was going to steal that Mine Shaft Stakes with him at such a beautiful price, and he just got caught late by fucking Hall of Fame. Now this Skinner's thing is he needs this pace to be fast because he is not that fast early. If it melts down, it sets up well for him. If it doesn't, he's looking at third, fourth at best.
Yeah, I mean that really is the key, right? He needs the pace to melt down. And while there is other speed, like feels like if the pace falls apart and first mission sitting right behind it, he's not catching first mission. That kind of was the reason that I have Skinner in third and I've Red Route 1 in fourth. So like if I was going 4 deep, it's 2, 3, 5, 12, right? But yeah, I mean, as much as I love Sherry DeVoe and Jose Ortiz, I still look through Skinner's past performances. And we talked about, who have you beat from a first mission perspective? Skinner's got some question marks in that front as well. I mean, like
he's at least competitive. He just doesn't usually beat those horses. But he was also with a trainer who was like, 3% trainer.
Yeah. No, Sheriff's compared to DeVoe, obviously a big upgrade there. So we'll see. Maybe Skinner shows some more pace and is able to be in it early and get a better trip here. But again, like I don't really want to go 2, 3, 5 in this race, even though I'm chucking the favorite in the last. Like going 2, 3, 5 here just feels like it's a little bit meh. Like I'd have to use the 12 as well if I was going to go 2, 3 deep, and I didn't want to go 4 deep here.
Let's see how deep we each go in the main event, which is the second to last leg of the late pick 5, also known as the penultimate leg. It's the Grade 2 Rebel Stakes, and we've got another big field here. 14 3-year-old colts and geldings going a mile and a 16th, 50 Kentucky Derby points on the line. Take note, there's actually going to be 13 runners. The 10 Bullard, we mentioned earlier, is going to scratch. He spiked a fever. So he will unfortunately not be running, but we still have a big field nonetheless. Where'd you go on top?
Back to the well. Picked Madacat Road in the Lewis. Going to pick Madacat Road right here. 9-2. First off, Baffert shipping out. That's like a cheat code when it's at Oaklawn. He does pretty well here, guys, if you haven't been keeping notes. Irad picks up the mount. I think this horse is good at 2 turns. I think this is a positive for it. I realized last time didn't get as much in the lane as you wanted, but ends up losing to Citizen Bull, who kind of got loose up front, and Rodriguez was playing blocker for him, and I felt Madacat Road was one of the recipients of that block, and so I expect you get a much cleaner trip here, being the only Baffert in here. And you do have enough speed that I think it kind of comes back a little bit to Madacat Road, who should sit fairly close to the pace. And again, like I think 2 turns is what this horse wants. This is a quality road horse that I know there were Derby aspirations right from the jump. So give me the 5 Madacat Road on top. I'm guessing the same based off that reaction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was going to pick a Baffert. I really thought this would be either Barnes or Rodriguez that he'd send out, but Baffert did say about a week or so ago that he didn't want to have to ship Barnes twice, so he's going to keep him home. Surprised that Rodriguez didn't come out, but the fact that this is $1.25 million purse for a Grade 2 race, that he only sends one out, and this is the one he picks. I'm like, this has got to be the one who's doing the best right now, at least, to come out there. Key maiden special weight win on opening day at Santa Anita in his second start, debuted in the Grade 3 Bob Hope, like you mentioned. Getting Irad to ride, I mean, they did good work with Improbable, Arabian Lion, Defunded. So, I went with that horse. We each agreed on 2 horses. We also agreed on the horse directly to his inside, and that is the 4 Hypnus, a horse that won the debut at Fairgrounds in the slop from 7 lengths off the pace early, going this distance, and managed to win well in hand by 2.5 lengths. Now, some questions to answer. Can he handle facing a much tougher group? Can he handle a fast track? Because it's not supposed to be a sloppy track. So some things to answer, but the way he ran was very impressive. And it's worth noting the opening race Sunday at Oaklawn has a horse named Doroteo, who was the 3rd place finisher in Hypnus's debut. If Doroteo falls flat on his face, I might rethink putting Hypnus on the ticket. I might switch him out. He's 3rd, and another horse you used, I have 4th, so I might swap their places. But for right now, I'm going to use Hypnus. Yeah,
Hypnus was 3rd for me as well. I'm going to be using him no matter what. It's a really well-bred horse. It's a mischief out of an Uncle Mo that popped first time out for McPeak, and you get Brian Hernandez back in a price at 10-1. I think you are set up pretty well here as well. Just from a speed perspective, there's enough speed in here that I do think that you get a good trip if you're Hypnus. This one just makes a ton of sense to me. I'm not surprised the horse ran well over the mud. And I don't love the fact that now we're going to fast dirt. And yes, I get it. Now it's first time against winners, all that jazz. That's why you're getting 10-1. Like if this horse had run in a $100,000 allowance and won easily over fast dirt, probably your favorite. Like it's that big of a difference here between the 10-1 number and the favoritism. So I'm willing to take a little bit of a price here, the 10-1, and take my chances and roll the dice here before he gets bet off the board if he is as good as he was in debut. Second pick for me, I mean, let's just keep rolling with this Springboard Mile thing, right? Springboard Mile, 2 back, Coal Battle, won it coming from off the pace, goes gate to wire last time out. So, there's versatility in the horse, being able to win up front or from the back of the pack. I expect we're more back of the pack today. I don't think we're going to get a 49-second first half in the Smarty like we did in the Smarty Jones. But Coal Battle's not done a thing wrong in the last 3, except maybe didn't beat that much. But Kale's Angel comes back to win out of that Smarty Jones. I think that this is another one where you probably get a pretty good trip. You're saving ground in the first turn. Vargas has ridden this horse very well. Horse likes to win, won 3 in a row, 4 lifetime starts. Only 2 losses are on turf, so it's undefeated on dirt. I'll take 10-1 on the 1 Coal Battle.
I couldn't play him because I think he's going to be too far back. I think he'll get buried on the rail early on, but I think that's usually his better running style anyways. He's a fantastic story, such a small-time trainer in Lonnie Briley, usually at Delta Downs this time of year with Vargas. And like you mentioned, undefeated in 4 starts on dirt, and just everything they ask him to do on dirt, he passes it. The Smarty Jones has come back kind of questionable, Mo Quality. Our former fantasy horse went to New York and we ditched him before he came back. Kale's Angel was 3rd, a really sharp sprinter, but not a 2-turn horse. But you're going to get a good price on him here. So I'm not going to knock you for it. But neither of us are using Sandman, who's the 4-1 favorite. I'm not using him because I think that off of the Southwest, when he broke horribly, almost lost the jockey, rushed up and almost won, he's going to be like 6-5. Like everybody that I talked to at FanDuel was like, oh my God, Sandman. I've had to watch that stupid start and replay so many times my eyes are about to bleed. Like we have to talk about it on air. Like he is going to get bet way too hard for me to ever want to use him here.
Yeah, I wouldn't use him at 4-1, let alone what I think he's going to go off at. And to me, that's the big difference. You mentioned the trouble early. Yeah, it was legitimate trouble and the horse ran big. Sometimes with the bad breaks, especially when it's a 2-turn race, a lot of the horses haven't gone 2 turns before. I'm not going to say they're at an advantage, but it's not as big of a disadvantage to get left behind a little bit at the break, because then you have a slower pace that you were running, and then you have a little bit more energy toward the end. I just wouldn't take the price, like you said, that we're going to see here on Sandman. Probably 2-1, maybe 7-5, 8-5 is kind of what I expected here. And that to me is just way too short for a horse that has not had all of that trouble in a bunch of other races and still has not competed against some of these, right? So I lost to Tistastic, 2 back, go in the street sense, and had no trouble in that one, right? Was kind of funky. It's changing leads down the lane, but didn't have any real trouble in it. So I'm not willing to lay a short price in a monster field here of 13, where I think that there are other horses with a higher upside than what you're going to see from Sandman. And like we've talked about this before, there are troubled trips, and then there are troubled trips, and some of them you see and some of them you don't. And the ones you see get hammered, absolutely hammered. The ones you don't are the valuable ones, because those are the ones that do not get incorporated with the odds. And that's where you can really be able to jump up and make some money. But again, like if you're singling the one and you love the 3s trip, you can play a $5 ticket here and single them both. Like there are ways to still try and extract value if you like Sandman and you believe that trouble, without it, he would be a very easy winner in this spot. But to me, I'd rather try and beat both those horses and juice the price that way.
So on that note, the last horse that each of us use is exiting the Southwest, and we're using 2 different ones. Those horses I thought had those legitimate trouble trips that you don't see unless you specifically key in and watch the race. If I change my mind about using Hypnus, I would use the 13 Tistastic. He is on your ticket, so I'll let you talk about him first.
Yeah, it feels like he's run really well on the dirt. It was interesting that they went to Kentucky Downs. They've entered him in $1 million race, wins that race. And then off of that, they're like, you know what, let's go Derby Trail, which I think is a positive sign. They kind of went after the money, but wanted this horse to be on dirt where he originally debuted at Saratoga against Chancellor McPatrick. And the last 3 races, I don't think he got a great trip in any of them. Specifically the last one, though, he was in a ton of traffic, and then he got flung wide, and like there was just a lot of things that went wrong for Tistastic, and I thought he still ran well. You get a big time upgrade from Keith Asmussen to Jose Ortiz here in the saddle, and it's Steve Asmussen taking his son off a horse to put Jose Ortiz on it. That kind of also tells me maybe Steve Asmussen thinks this is a pretty good horse, and the trip was less than ideal in that spot. So a lot of different things pointing me to the 13 Tistastic, who's 8-1 on the board. So I ended up going 1, 4, 5, 13 and try and get around Sandman, who I agree with you. I think it's going to be over bet.
So similar tale as well here. It's an Asmussen horse that had a son of Assman, little Assman, on board in the Southwest, and is getting replaced by Flavien Prat. I'm going with the Maiden, the 6-horse publisher. 0 for 5. He's hit the board in 4 starts. After 4 straight maiden efforts, including finishing second with a 92 buyer, Assman went, if we're just going to keep running second and third, we might as well do it in Derby preps. Went to the Southwest, and if you remember in the stretch, there was a disqualification, and it happened because American Promise was going backwards, right? And he went way too fast early. He was going backwards. And when he was going backwards, Tyler Bacon hit him too many times right-handed.
Tyler Bacon?
Tyler Bacon is the jockey. He's riding our boy Innovator, the 8-horse. Tyler Bacon.
I was thinking that was Kevin Bacon's son.
No. No resemblance at all. I can promise you that. No, Tyler hit him, and the horse just veered straight into Publisher, who was in step with Sandman. Everybody's talking about Sandman with this great rallying trip. Sandman's taking the overland route. Publisher's going up the rail. He'd already had to steady a little bit in the turn, gets moving up the rail, and he's in step with Sandman on opposite sides. And then the damn American Promise came right in, and they clipped heels. He almost went down. And after that, of course, he's not going to keep on running. You're getting Flavien Prat to ride him after that kind of an effort. Flavien Prat in a 14-horse field is going, yeah, I'm going to ride a Maiden for Steve Asmussen. I think you're going to get a fantastic price on him as well. Might not be 20-1 because Pratt's riding, but I think this horse with a good stalking trip with a nice draw here, I think he's going to be very dangerous.
What a mess that race was. I mean, we're talking about trip, like Sandman's the obvious one, and then we're talking about like 2 or 3 other horses that all had terrible trips in that race. So it'll be interesting to see with this many 3-year-olds if we're able to get clean trips today or if it's going to be a big mess again.
I love, where was it? Car Ramrod, I missed this earlier. Sis Hypnus is a great name for an overweight male exotic dancer. Listen, Tyler Bacon's been really good. He's normally getting a 5-pound allowance still, and he's normally good. But that American Promise thing was that was a learning moment, we'll say. But Lucas has been using him a lot, and he's putting him on Innovator. Anyways, good luck, Innovator. Would love to see you upset this, but not holding my breath. Anyways, the rate.
Do we try and go?
I think you send. That's usually Bacon's move, is to send the horse.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We'll see how far it can go.
See how far it can go. Yeah. Well, he didn't hold on very well in the Lecomte, and that race did not come back well. But the race you've really all been waiting for, not the Rebel, not the Honeybee. It's race 12, the final race. We've got an overdrawn field of 12 with 2 also eligibles. They're going 6 furlongs. They're maidens, and they were bred in the state of Arkansas. Good God Almighty, somebody help us with this race. Where'd you go on top?
Raise your hand if you almost singled this race.
How much Casamigos did you have before we came on? My goodness.
By
the way, I would have won that bet. I should have taken you up on it.
You're a chicken. We all know that. Look through the connections here, right? Just look through them. What one name jumps out on the jockey side? Really, there's 2. But what one really jumps out to you at the jockey side? What the hell is Flavien Prat doing riding in this race? Am I right?
Reaction.
Like, I just went through this, and it's like, okay, I get why Jose Ortiz is riding. John Ortiz is a trainer. They like, that's okay. Like we've seen them run around and do this thing before. Prat for a Marquette in a state-bred Archie race. Yeah, this horse has to be good, right? Like, I realize this is like one of the weakest handicaps ever. The horse has to be good, or else Pratt's not riding him. And like, you look at the workout 2 back, 47-4 out of a gate, gets the bullet number. Marquette, well, he doesn't hit it a big percentage, just 11%, $3.10 flat ROI for first-time starters. So he is getting some of those prices home. Yeah, I got the 2 on top, and the 2 was almost a single.
I mean, Sharp works for the debut when he was able to post works as well. Yeah, top pick for me. I didn't single, but I Singling an Archie bred maiden special weight with 14 entered, 12 to run. That's crazy. I will say the
gotta
one
have
person
gumption, baby. We already know you. This is not the time to be a chicken again, Magic.
I actually almost singled Painwar, the Pratt horse in the opening leg there.
Okay.
A little easier to single, I think. But Pratt, I think, benefits more than anybody by Oaklawn moving everything ahead of day, because now he's doing Turfway today. He's at Turfway tonight, I should say. He's doing Santa Anita now on Saturday. He picked up 5 mounts for Glatt, Baffert, and D'Amato. So, you know, there's at least 4 winners right there. And then now he gets to come to Oaklawn and race for all these giant purses. I mean, it's he definitely bet. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's racing 8 times at Oaklawn. Not a single race is worth less than $110,000 in purse. Like this, he's gonna be able to fly private back and forth with all this money. Yeah. Anyways, used him. The other horse I used was the 5 Cowboy Sense, who's a second-time starter, and I watched the replay. And I thought this was actually a pretty good debut if you consider everything that happened to him. Hits the stall at the break. As soon as he gets out, the 9 horse comes and sideswipes him completely, pushes him all the way back to the rear. He rushed up into contention on the backstretch under his own power. Castillo was just kind of along for the ride and then got up there. And then all of a sudden he went too fast and he tried splitting horses going into the turn, but then that gap closed, so he had to slam on the brakes. Castillo tipped him out wide, makes a move towards the front off the turn. He's looking okay, but it's one of those things where you're like, he's used up so much energy and had to slam on the brakes. There's no way he's going to get there. Yeah, by the 8th pole, he was running out of gas, but he didn't completely quit. If he finished 10, 12 lengths behind, you can understand that. He did not do that. He kept going. He just kind of churned evenly in the stretch there. If the Pratt horse, the 2 Mayor, if he doesn't fire like he's been working like he can, I think this horse is certainly eligible to take a big step forward in his second start, a cleaner break. He's right there at a contender.
I don't hate it. Facing olders versus facing 3-year-olds was one of the knocks here for me with this one. So it does have to contend with a couple of older horses, 4-year-olds in this field, but in the maiden special weight level, that's not nearly as big of a concern as it is when you're facing the allowance level or winners company. So don't hate the 5. I didn't watch the trip, so I'll have to take a look at it after the show here and see if I can pick up on anything. For me, second was one of those 4-year-olds. Gives me Tiz Marcus, the 9 horse here. I did watch that race back between Tiz Marcus, $2 Eddie, and then Boat, who we'll talk, or Bote or whatever we'll talk about here in a second. I thought Tiz Marcus was actually the better of the 2 horses between the 8 and the 9. Now, I wish we were drawn inside of the 8 because I do think that would make a difference here. But I thought second off the layoff, you're going to see a little bit more fit horse. Chris Hartman, 15% when it's for a second start. And this horse has the one work out of it. I thought was more of, I watched that work, and that was more of kind of the maintenance work where the horse looked like he got something out of the race. I think the 9 steps forward here and is able to outpace the 8, who I believe are going to be the 2 early horses to press. The other one I liked out of that race was actually the 4 Bote. I guess we'll go with Bote.
I like Boat.
Spelled wrong. The 12-1 on the morning line here. This is a horse that I thought was really competitive in the first 2 starts, and then kind of was just in tight and didn't really get the room to run or room to go when he wanted to go in that race. Now you're getting a 12-1 price on a horse that against the 2 favorites last time out was 8-1. So getting a little bit of value there. The horse has improved in all 3 starts. And I'm hoping could take another step forward. Obviously the 12-1 price, not as high on this one as the 2, but I do think that the 4 is a worthwhile price from a value perspective here.
Good value on the 4. I didn't like that the horse, didn't really take that step forward. I thought that the muddy sealed track might have improved his chances a bit. It's worth noting you're actually the 3 starts is the only one he had without Lasix, but good Delta Downs connections. Chasey Palmier is a good trainer down there as well where the horse debuted. So it would, listen, a lot of these horses, almost anyone, maybe not the 6, because I like her. Kelsey Haar can't buy a winner with stolen money right now. So other than the 6, I think any horse right now could win. Watch me just put her in the winner's circle. Yeah, you're getting a good price on Boat, whose dam is paddle out. So that's what made me think it was Boat. Neither of us using the 8 $2 Eddie. This horse, to me, Mike, he's just had too many chances where he goes to the front and gets caught late, and goes to the front and gets caught late. And now he's drawn in post 8 when he was breaking from the rail in 3 of his last 4 starts. No thanks.
Yeah, he'll make the lead. and the 9 will be chasing, and we'll see what happens. We'll see which horse catches him. That just, and again, probably will get bet, right? I mean, your favorite on the morning line at 3-1 probably goes off shorter than that. Probably looking at 2-1, maybe the 9-5 type number. No thanks, especially in this big of a field. One horse I do want to touch on, the 11 horse Touchdown Arkansas. Interested to see what we get from this one.
Right.
I generally really like it when horses debut in stakes and they don't do anything, and then they come back and you get a price on them in maiden special weights, because generally, if that's the case, the horse, Vandenberg is not a bad trainer. He believed that this horse was live enough to run into $150,000 stakes, and then waited for this restricted Arkansas bred $110,000 maiden special weight to come back and be able to run him on a big day. So I think the 11 is live here as well. Especially, it's one of the 4-year-olds in the field. That's a positive to me. The horse went for $20,000, 4x the sale price, showed early speed and quit. Like, there's a bunch of things to like about this 11 if you do want to go a little more price hunting in the last.
I fully agree on that. That one caught my attention. If he was drawn better, I'd be more interested in that. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's very interesting that he debuts in a stakes race for the Arkansas breds, and it wasn't not bet, right? He was 10-1, kind of in the middle grouping there. So yeah, another one that wouldn't be a shocker there. And first time
also ran a fake bullet on the 6th. Third of 48. People don't everyone sees the 1 because you get the little bullet, but that 2nd and 3rd also relevant, especially when there's that many horses. So seems to be in good form here for the return.
Nice little zippy 47 and 3 work. Yeah, I see what you're looking at there. All right, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thank you for joining us for a special Friday show. It's good to have all of you on a day when we're not normally doing this, but good luck with Oaklawn Park and good luck with your betting. Turfway Park has the Cincinnati Trophy, which is an Oaks prep tonight. The Battaglia is a Derby prep tomorrow. You probably didn't watch what was it called? The UAE Oaks, which was super early this morning. No. Yeah, not worth watching. Fun filly, but not worth watching. Anyways, we'll give out our tickets one last time for the viewers. Take a look below for the audio listeners. We'll read them out. I'm going to start off going 5-8 with 3-5-6-9 with 2-5-8 with 4-5-6 with 2-5. 72 for me for 50 cents. Same price for you, same ticket structure, but very different horses.
Yeah, it's a little bit of different order here. Give me the 1-5-10 with 5-6 with 2-3 with 1-4-5-13 with 2-4-9. $72 for 50 cents. If you want a single, 2 in the last. That's where my single would be.
Don't forget to check out the Racing Dudes Betting Bible. It's back for the Rebel Stakes, and Aaron is the only person that I've talked to that I know of who had magnitude in the Risen Star. So congratulations to Aaron for that. He's going to look to stay hot this weekend with the Betting Bible. He also had a big exactive built and held on for second. So he's a little saucy about that one, but he cashed a very nice ticket all over the place there. So congratulations if you followed him. If you didn't, now is your chance. Get in on the Betting Bible action for picks for every single race at Oaklawn Park. John White included in that sequence. I'm going to be back Saturday morning, 8:30 to noon in the FanDuel studios on the West Coast time, covering the end of the Saudi Cup card. That's going to be bright and early tomorrow, so tune in for that one. What about you? How can people find you on VSiN?
We'll be over on VSiN 10-1 Pacific tomorrow and Sunday, running through everything: college basketball, UFC, some golf. We'll be talking a little bit of horses on both shows as well, and some hockey with the return to the NHL tomorrow after exciting final game in the Four Nations last night. Magic, did you watch?
I don't have ESPN, so no. The only thing I've watched of the entire thing was that stupid start to the US-Canada game. Like, sorry, I know you're a Blues fan. I hate the Tkachuk brothers. I want to Tkachuk them the hell out of here. Like, I hate those guys.
Why would I care about that? They're neither of them play for the Blues.
They're both from St. Louis.
Yeah, so what?
Their daddy. I told Aaron, I was like, I like Keith Tkachuk. I think his offspring are both spawns of Satan. Like, he was like Keith.
Yeah, Keith was a coyote when he was good. He came to the Blues in the twilight of his career, had 2 kids, and fell apart.
As life happens.
Yeah, right. Classic example of what goes down there when you have 2 kids, right?
Well, I'm about to find out in 2 months and change. So. Anyways, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back sometime next week, I'm sure, to cover another Pick 5 show. Until then, good luck with your wagers. Find us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. He's on VSiN. I'm on FanDuel. And until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this weekend.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.